June 9th.
That's
right. It's a new biopic directed by Eva Longoria. And we got the producer here with us right now. And this guy is something special to me. This man invited me to a gospel concert.
I remember.
I remember. This man invited me to a gospel
concert. The prodigal son had to return home.
It was like, and I'm telling Heather, hey, DeVon, DeVon Franklin is here, by the way, citizen. Come on, man.
Glad to be here. Thank you for having me.
I said, Heather, what am I supposed to do?
Just go.
This man invited me to a gospel. I think DeVon Franklin invited me on a date, yo.
Stupid. Little bromance brewing.
He wanted me to go to a gospel concert at the Barclays Center, and I swear to you on everything I love, that was like a return. That was a sankofa for me, you know, growing up in a Baptist church and being around just, you know, how music really resonated with me as a young kid and brought me to the word, man. And so when I look at this guy right here, man, give him some applause as we talk about this television and film producer, this best-selling author, this renowned preacher and motivational speaker.
That's right.
This man is a friend of ours, man. I read the book, The Truth About Men, What Men and Women Need to Know.
You needed to read it.
He's my peer, and I take cues and leads from him.
Thank you, my brother.
Because when I see him, he's shining bright. Look at him, Heather. He's in the same shape I used to be in. I used to be in this kind of shape.
It's still there.
Look at it. It's in there somewhere. Muscle memory, but mine seem to forgot. Look at the glow coming off his skin right now.
Thank you, my brother.
That man is in a place. He's centered. He's balanced. I feel it. I sense it. He's back on this road. He's working. I just watched him. I was watching a movie over the weekend called Jesus Revolution.
Yes. I was blessed to be a part of that. Be in it. That's my first acting job.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
In front of the camera. Yeah.
And that was your first act. I was wondering, because you're always a producer, you're always running the
Behind
ship.
the scenes.
Behind the scenes. What made you act out that role?
Man, you know, it was interesting. Some friends of mine produced it and directed it. And so they came to me and they said, hey, we're getting ready to make this movie. It's called The Jesus Revolution. It's a true story of in the late 1960s, a lot of hippies were getting off acid and converting to Christianity. And Time magazine did a cover story on it, and they called it The Jesus Revolution. And they said, we want you to play the reporter that works for Time magazine. And at first, I was going to say, I'm not an actor. But I caught myself. I said, why would I speak against something that I actually could be? I just don't know it yet.
Exactly.
And so I said, okay. I said, well, let me read it. I read the script, and I said, yeah, okay, I'll do it. Now, again, I had never acted professionally before. I used to do plays in middle school and high school, but this was the first time. And so I worked with an acting coach. I took it very seriously. And when I did it, I was like, oh, man, I love this. Being in scenes with actors and finding those moments. And I've been around it my whole career. I mean, you know, I started as an intern for Will Smith and, you know, obviously was with Megan for 10 years and being around it. So getting a chance to do it myself, I was like, oh, I know how to do this and producing movies. You know, I knew how to do it. And thankfully, I've been able to book other roles and projects that'll come out this year. So it's a new thing.
You're booking roles?
I'm booking roles,
man.
Come
on. DeVon, do you got an audition? You're the boss. What do you mean?
Man, listen, but I have so much respect for the craft that I go through the process. You know, so listen, I do audition, and I'm open, man. I don't want it just because I'm the producer and I can make my own content that means that I'm just going to put myself in the things that I do. No, I want to be able to go through the process as an actor and identify those right roles and find the right projects that fit.
When did you shoot the Jesus Revolution?
I shot Jesus Revolution a year ago.
A year ago. Were you and Megan still together at that time?
No. We had just made the announcement in December of 21.
Okay.
And I shot Jesus Revolution. I think it was around February, March of the following year.
So she couldn't guide you on acting then? She didn't help you?
Well, she did.
She did?
She did because, you know, being with her and running lines with her and seeing her process and understanding how she prepared for roles, that's what I needed, right? So even though we weren't in communication like that while I was shooting the film, I still relied upon I remember when we used to run lines. I remember when she used to do this. Oh, okay, now I understand why she was doing that better. Yeah. So even though she wasn't with me, she was still with me.
She was still with you. Oh, DeVon Franklin. I love that, man. Come on, man. Last time we saw you, you were married.
Yeah, that is true. That's a fact. Statement of fact.
It is.
Those are the facts, right?
So, bro, it's not the same, obviously, and I know Heather's going to get on me about this, but I remember breaking up out of a relationship and finding myself of sitting upstairs in my apartment, calling downstairs to the person who was no longer there.
Or calling me, DeVon. Disrupted my happy life.
So I'm not going to linger in this, I'm not going to. But as far as you go, man, what is it like being single?
Well, it's a whole new experience. Let me put it that way.
Yeah.
And what's interesting, though, it's an interesting question that you asked, because becoming traditionally single again taught me what it means to be single.
Yeah.
And what I mean by that is so often we think of single as a relationship status.
Right.
But single to me is actually a life status, meaning no matter if we're in a relationship or not, we're all single. And too often we don't ever harness the power of what it means to be single. So when we get into a relationship, we overburden the relationship to do something it was never designed to do, which is to fix us, to make us happy, to make us complete. That's not the purpose of a relationship. So becoming traditionally single again taught me the reality of like, oh, this is what it means to be single. Being single means to be one of one, right? And the more I can become an individual and understand my individuality and love my individuality, the better I will be when I decide to couple again.
Wow, that's so profound.
That's what I'm on.
Yeah.
Yes.
Why you look at me like that?
When did you get on that? Just now? Well, come on, Jesus. That's the power.
I'm just saying, I needed some healing and I needed some fixing.
Yes.
And it took me being single to even recognize that.
Absolutely. And I think so often if we allow it, man, look, my brother's going through his process, all right? Come on, I'm going to stand in solidarity with you, you know what I'm saying? Sure. But so often when we go through, heartbreak, we go through heartache, we can have one of two choices, right? Either we allow it to depress us and destroy us, or we sift and sort through it to identify, well, what can I learn and how can I heal? And what are the things that I need to know about me that this has given me an opportunity to understand that if I had never been through it, I would never understand it. Yeah. And so for me, navigating, all of this has been a journey of first and foremost space. And what I mean by space is like giving myself the ability to feel. Some moments I felt like, okay, I'm good. Other moments I'm like, yo, I'm not good today.
Yeah.
Yo, I'm not. So giving that space, giving myself the grace, and then also like staying in therapy, working with the life coach, reading the word, studying, journaling, like not taking this for granted, right? Like I would love to have been able to present to y'all, oh, I'm good, right? Yeah. Everything's great. No. This healing work is a lifetime. And I'm just learning the value of it and sharing whatever I'm learning along the way.
Hey, man, we need to start hanging out. I already see that. We got time.
You're stupid.
You crazy, man.
Sway is crazy. I'm so grateful that you're sharing this. Because just like a bunch of gazillion other people, I was surprised to hear the news, but I wasn't surprised at how classy y'all were in sharing this publicly. There's a sentiment online that's gone viral around divorce not being a failure and how it could interestingly be a sign that marriage was a success. If you look at marriage as being designed to grow you.
Sure.
And so sometimes you grow out of the relationship. Are you at a place where you could see your marriage as a success?
I think that what you're hitting on is excellent, because so often we go through things we didn't want to go through, and there's a temptation to label that failure or unsuccessful. But I believe anything that produces growth in our life is a success. So from that vantage point, yes, right? Like, I know that I grew and have been growing in ways I would have never grown if I had not married. And so I say thank you.
Yes.
I'm grateful for the experience. I'm grateful for the emotions. I'm grateful for the journey.
Yes.
And I wouldn't be who I am. I wouldn't be where I am without it. It's very easy to look at something and say, oh, well, that failed. Well, what's your definition of failure? Right? It only failed if I chose not to learn from it or grow from it.
There you go.
And so my choice is like, nope, I'm learning from this. I'm growing from this. So on some level, I do look at that as a success.
There you go. DeVon Franklin here, man. I just told my daughter that, I swear to you, this weekend we were talking about the word failure.
Yeah.
And I literally said, it's only a failure if you don't learn something from it or grow from it. I just said the exact same thing. We hanging out, DeVon.
We got to,
Yo, I know some spots too, baby.
Okay, I'm gonna pray before we go in the spots.
Okay, Heather, you want to say hi? You gonna pray? Okay.
No, I'm just happy. I think it's interesting hearing it from being married, still in a marriage.
Yeah.
I was telling Tracy and Sway last month, August will make 22 years
Wow,
for my husband and I.
congratulations.
Thank you. But I don't think you stop doing the single things in your marriage. And that's
Right.
what I've learned. I said to them earlier today, my best friend, which is his mom, our godson's mom over there, said to me before my marriage, it is every day, and my pastor said, and you have to do it every day with God. And so I went into it with that mindset, single and then partner. And so I still have to do the single work in the partnership.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? And that's the thing I think people, to y'all's point, what Tracy was saying to you as well, they don't realize it. You're looking for this person to make you whole. You're looking for this person to pick up all of these different things. And it's like, nah, bro, like you got to come in whole.
Yes.
You
We
got
gotta
to
do our
come in whole.
work.
You got to do your work,
Yes.
even in the partnership. Yeah.
Absolutely. Especially in the partnership.
Yeah.
Especially in the partnership. All right, man, let's talk about this project, Flamin Hot.
Yeah.
Okay, and I'm familiar with the story, and I'm curious to what made you pick this story.
Man, listen, about 7 years ago, I had a chance to meet Richard Montañez. And at the time, he was one of the top executives for Frito-Lay and PepsiCo. And a friend of mine said, hey, I've got your next movie. I want you to meet Richard. And so I sat down with Richard and his wife, Judy, and I said, tell me your story. And Richard started telling me that he started as a janitor cleaning up the factory for Frito-Lay. The factory that was located in Rancho Cucamonga, California. He's the son of a Mexican immigrant, and getting to Frito-Lay was a big deal because they had benefits. And so he was like, great, he can take care of his family. And as he was there working for years, he was one of the hardest workers. People would know that he cleaned the floors because of how they shined.
Yeah.
Like he really let his work speak for him. So long story short, the factory and the company started doing poorly. Jobs were being lost. And he said, look, I know I can save jobs. The way I can save jobs is if we had a spicy product that I could market to my community, his Mexican-American community in Southern California, then my community would want to be a part of this company.
Okay.
Because right now the flavors are not appealing to my people.
Right.
So he and his wife Judy, came up with this recipe, and they, basically sold the higher ups on this Flamin Hot product, and they ultimately allowed him to go out to the community and to market what we now know as Flamin Hot. And what as Flamin Hot started to take off.
Yeah.
And it not only took off and became this billion-dollar brand, but it ultimately got him to be promoted to become one of the top executives in the company. He's referred to as the godfather of Latino marketing, and it catapulted him to unprecedented success. And when I heard that story, I told him in the meeting, okay, I'm going to do it. I said, yes, I will make your movie. Now, I didn't know how I was going to do it. I didn't have a writer at that time. I hadn't sold it to a studio, but I was so motivated and inspired from him to go from being a janitor to becoming one of the top executives in the company, and along the way launching this billion-dollar brand that we now know as Flamin Hot. I said, man, I got to tell this.
You got to tell that story. And then he has 10 siblings, I believe. 10 siblings, dropped out of school.
Yeah, he did.
Right?
Yes, he did.
And had an opportunity to do this, create this flavor when a machine broke down, right?
Yeah.
And he was able to take a bunch of chips home and experiment with this ideal he
know
had.
the story.
Come on, I know the story.
You know the story, and we portray all that in the movie.
Oh, you do all that in the movie?
We do all that in the movie.
Oh,
So where is Rancho Cucamonga? I only heard about that through like a Friday's.
Inland Empire.
I don't even know.
Inland Empire, the IE. You know how all these artists come up and talk about the Inland?
IE,
Yeah.
Hit Boy
right.
is from the Inland Empire.
So that's a certain area of California.
Yeah. Southern California.
Southern California. Okay.
Yeah. Is he still with us?
Oh yeah, Richard's
Richard-
alive and well. Yeah, he retired from Frito-Lay about 4 years ago, and he's seen the movie. He and his wife Judy love the movie.
Okay,
they're promoting the movie. So yes, Richard is alive and well, and very proud of the film.
That's dope.
Is it Eva Longoria who's directing this?
Yeah.
Is that who brought this story to you, or was it Richard himself?
No, it was a mutual friend of me and Richard's. So he was the one that brought me the story, and then once I met Richard, I gave him the yes, and then I found a writer, developed it. We went out to all the Hollywood studios, we pitched it. 3 studios wanted to bid on it, and I ultimately sold it to Searchlight, which at the time was called Fox Searchlight. And then we started developing the script, and in the process of developing the script, Searchlight got sold to Disney. So I had a script. Probably about 2 years it took me to get the script right, and then that's when I started looking for a director. And that's where Eva came in. So I sent the script out to about 20 different directors. 12 came in, and I got a call from Eva's agent saying, hey, Eva Longoria wants to meet on Flamin Hot. And I was like, well, for what part? And they were like, no, she doesn't want to be in it. She wants to direct it.
Oh, wow.
And I'm like, yo, well, has she directed a movie? They were like, no. They see that she's directed television, but not a movie. So I said, okay, so, well, I'm not going to pass an opportunity to meet Eva. Like, cool. So Eva comes in, and, you know, she's wearing her glasses, and she has the script in a binder. And almost every page is dog-eared. And so for 2 hours we meet, and she's telling me, you know, how she wants to make this better and how this needs to change and how that's not authentic. And I mean, by the end of the meeting, I was depressed because I thought my script was good, but I was inspired.
Yeah.
And when she left the meeting, I said to myself that the director just showed up. And so often, you know, the idea that we don't have opportunity is held against us. But just because we don't have the opportunity doesn't mean we aren't the thing that we know we are. Eva didn't come in to meet with me acting like she wanted to be the director. She came in acting as the director. And so I just acknowledged the confidence that she had. And then I took her into the studio. She pitched the movie to the studio, her vision. They signed off on it. And we've been working together pretty much every day since. And the movie she directed is phenomenal. I think at the end of the day, people know her as an actress. They know her as this beauty icon. But I think people are going to know her as a filmmaker. She is a world-class filmmaker.
Come on, get that a round of applause, man.
You mind if I ask a question real quick?
Sure, go ahead, DB.
I just wanted to know your thoughts on, you know, they have a lot of conversations about representation and authenticity in terms of movies, you know, when there's a biopic involved.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes it's like, oh, that person didn't look that shade of black, or, you know, this person wasn't the same ethnicity, and you know, so do you look for roles and actors and things like that stick to the authenticity of the story?
Always. Whenever I'm doing a movie, you know, I mean, there's always going to be creative license when you're doing a true story and you're trying to take a true story and make it a film. But there are certain things where it's critical. So, like, for example, you know, we really wanted to have, because this is a Chicano story and a Mexican-American story, it was important for us to have Mexican-American actors, you know, portray Mexican-American people. And we succeeded in doing that. You know, with Eva's experience, like, I could have hired another director, but Eva had the authenticity that would help make the movie more authentic. So when it comes to representation, it's something that's very important to me. And whenever I'm making a film, it's very important to make it as authentic as possible. And this is one of the ways to do that. And we didn't just do that in front of the camera. We did it behind the camera. You know, our DP was Latino. Our production designer was Latino. Costume designer was Latino. Our casting director was Latino. So it was important for us to make a film that felt authentic and bringing together all of these elements to do that.
Dope.
Sold the movie there.
There you go. No, that's a beautiful. Hey, man, listen, it's on Hulu and Disney Plus this Friday, Flamin Hot. I remember Steven Spielberg partnered up with Debbie Allen to produce Amistad.
That's right. Yep.
Right, and I thought that was incredible. Right, and that's kind of reminds me of that. Yeah, you being Steven now, dude.
Wow. Oh man, wait a minute. Hold up.
He really wants to hang out with you.
Oh, the prophet has spoken. The prophet has spoken.
Just put it out there, baby. Come on, catch that frequency.
Okay. All right.
So I'm looking forward to this. Flamin Hot streaming on Hulu and Disney Plus Friday, June 9th. How do you say his name properly?
Richard Montañez.
Richard Montañez.
Yes, Montañez.
Montañez.
You can't get that in. Just Montañez.
Montañez.
There you go.
Some people say Montañez, but it's Montañez.
Mi amigo, gracias.
Put the spice on
Sí,
it,
¿you puedes hablar español?
Un poquito.
Un poquito, bueno.
Yeah, bueno. Gracias. ¿Dónde el baño?
El baño está afuera.
Oh, gracias.
De nada.
Yeah, we hanging out, man. I already know it, man. I've been picking up my Bible, too.
Okay.
Use that as the tagline for the film, too.
Sway in the morning
approved.
Sway in the morning approved. Right. I love that.
Total pivot. A friend of mine we were talking about heaven.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
Wow. What was the conversation?
Heaven.
How did it come about?
Because I've always said to people around me, that you're gonna find heaven here and in here. You know, I don't know if it's a physical location. And when they say we were exploring the whole expression, heaven is a place on earth, to me meant through your commitment, your obedience, your dedication is where you could find heaven heaven here in life on earth. And we just start going through all of these things, and we start looking at ancient symbolism from Egypt to now, and what was the true meaning behind some of the symbolism we saw, the Ankh and others, and how does it relate to our mind and how powerful our minds are to get us to that destination. So, what are your thoughts about heaven and where does it exist?
Yeah, I mean, I do believe, in terms of what Scripture talks about there being a physical place, but also there's Scripture that says thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven.
Yes.
So that does imply that, we can have a heavenly experience here on earth.
Yeah.
And so much when you talk about the mind as it relates to heaven, going back to the question about, is divorce success or failure? Are we living in heaven or hell?
Yeah.
And it comes down to what's going on in our mind and our perspective.
Yeah.
So for me, I believe in a physical heaven and I look forward to a physical heaven. And I also want to experience as much heaven as I can here on earth by having the right perspective, by keeping my mind right. There's a scripture that says, be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind. And this is where most of the battle in life is fought.
You know it.
Right? Like every day, it's not reality that we're dealing with. It's our perception of reality. It's our interpretation of reality. So can I look at something instead of having a hell mindset, a heavenly mindset? Okay. And what does that look like for me? It means like, okay, if this is happening, there's something here good for me. I may not like it, may not have prayed for it, professionally, it took me 7 years to get this movie made.
Yeah.
7.
Right? Yeah. Yeah, and but see, here's the thing. If I allowed that process to be like, oh, this is hell, right? This is terrible. I can't believe they're not making my movie in year 2. We would not be here right now. But having the more heavenly perspective, you know what? This is all working for my good. Every time I get a chance to work on the script, it's going to get better. Every delay actually sets me up for the destiny. This is going to get made. And ultimately, 7 years later, it's coming out at the perfect time. Why? Because the movie originally was going to come out on Hulu, which is cool, 40 million subscribers. The movie came out so well that Searchlight and Disney said this is going to be the first movie that we're going to put on Hulu and Disney Plus. First movie in the history of Disney.
Damn.
Wow.
Going from 40 million subscribers to over 200 million in the blink of an eye of a decision. If I did not have a heavenly mindset through the process, I don't know that we would ever got here.
Right.
So I think what you're talking about is fascinating, right? And I do, again, believe that there is a heaven that I can't wait to experience.
Absolutely.
A physical heaven. What that's going to be and what that's going to look like, we'll have to wait and see.
Okay.
But until then, I'm going to do my best to find heaven here on earth.
Okay, man. Maybe you might not want to hang out with me. I'm not sure what's going on.
He's hellbound.
We go.
Hey, what kind of devilish deeds you up to?
No, we're going to look at it through a heavenly lens.
There
Yes.
we go. There
Okay,
it is.
all
There
right,
it is.
and a lot of $1 bills.
Oh my gosh.
Don't listen to him.
I'm joking.
Right,
I'm
right,
joking.
right.
Hey, man, love you, brother.
Love you back,
Man,
Thank you for having me,
congratulations.
man.
Absolutely, man.
Seriously.
Absolutely,
So
brother.
good seeing you.
As always good,
Always.
bro. We going to keep that going. DeVon Franklin,
Got
get this
to.
man a beautiful
Appreciate y'all.
round of applause. Flamin Hot, streaming on Hulu, Disney Plus,
Yeah.
Friday, June 9th.
My man.
My man, okay.